Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Melanin Marvels. We live, baby. We are your hosts. My name is Adrian.
I'm Anika.
And I'm Debbie.
And today we're going to be exploring the recent anime that came out called Yasuke. That follows the adventures of a black samurai that is based off of true story, or at least true accounts. And we're going to talk about the highs, lows, and anything that we've explored and noticed as well in the series. So, to start us off, I'm going to throw it over to homegirl, who's the flyest, Anika, to give us a little summary of who this Yasuke man is.
So originally he was an African from either Mozambique or the Congo, and he was put into servitude for, I forget the man's name, but it's mentioned in the anime.
Got you. Oda Nobunaga.
Yes, him. And he's actually the one who gave him the name Yasuke. And I don't know, like he's a fly ass guy, and like he picked up on things, and he was an awesome samurai.
Yeah, I think like based off of his service, like from what I remember as well, before that he was there as a missionary. I think it was like it was a servant from an Italian person. I can't remember his name.
A Jesuit missionary.
Yeah, and from there he joined. I think Oda had noticed and had interest in Yasuke, and so eventually brought him in, and then with his service, eventually branded him as like a samurai to serve with him as well, which is really cool to think about at the time. Even though who can know the sort of like discriminatory things that he's gone through during his time there, but to have someone who's come from outside of your own island or your own place and bring them in as a samurai, which is like a high sort of status, loyal thing that you have for like as a soldier at the time. To serve under, that is quite amazing. So the story as well is something that I might personally have heard for a long time now. I've heard about, and it's cool to be able to see like this sort of story be inspired this anime as well. So with that, that's sort of fast forwarding over to today, 2021. Netflix has recently published the anime. Big things to note with it. The lead being Lakeith Stanfield, the production being done by Flying Lotus, and also the anime studio that's supporting as well, Studio Mappa, which is a big deal for folks. They've done Attack on Titan, they've done Jujutsu Kaisen, Yuri on Ice, and a few other animes that have blown up. And folks really know. So it's cool to be able to see this production studio support something like this as well. So with how unique it is, and also being able to see something with like representation of seeing like a black person sort of navigate these places at this time, we thought it would be cool to just talk a bit about like what our initial thoughts were about the show. So last piece I'll bring up is in talking about the show as the briefest of synopsises. The whole show follows Yasuke. It follows his journey in supporting a young girl in order to figure out what her powers are, and also to eventually save their district, to save Japan. Seems like saving the world without how high stakes it was. So that's like the basic sort of overview of the show. And along the way, you see him meeting allies and also fighting some pretty nasty bad guys. So that's the show in a nutshell. And so I'm going to open up to folks. What did folks like about Yasuke?
What did we like? I liked it was kind of funny at the beginning. Like when they're trying to wash him, they're like, why isn't he getting clean? It's like, that's the color of his skin. They're not used to seeing black people. They've never seen black people. So they just thought he was really dirty.
Yeah, it was weird to like watch that as part of the show, because like obviously it's reflective, like they're trying to show back then this is what they said and how they would think, but it was weird to watch it, to be honest with you, like that part.
Or even the moment in a later episode
Shalina. I rolled my eyes at that part. See, exactly. Like, yeah, same.
Yeah, like, another moment when they're like, he speaks Japanese. Like, you don't expect him to speak Japanese. Like, come on,
Hmm.
he can speak multiple languages.
I feel like the interesting part about the scene you're talking about, Anika, is I think that was like based off of something that's happened, or at least an account. Because I remember hearing about that prior to watching the anime. So it was interesting to see them animate that as well. And I think based off of like the time, the climate as well, Dibby, as you're mentioning, it's kind of weird. You could also, I don't know about forgive, but like understand the circumstances in which they did it, but it's also a little cringy at first too. And also, like, they had the man in public too. Like, at least, that's another piece about it. I was just like, I don't know about this, but yeah, no, I got you. It had its funny moments for sure. I don't know if I brand that as one of them. I was like, for the most part, but yeah.
That, you know what, you're right, like, because like that scene especially, like, because he's like fully naked and they're just like kind of like, I understand, okay, fine, like that's the time period and they're doing, but I was so comfortable. I was like, is this just okay? Or we're just yeah.
They're definitely leering at him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, what kind of man is this? We don't have all that.
Also, I kind of want to say, I don't know, Anika, right? I don't know which one of you just said it, but like they were shocked that he spoke Japanese. I feel like honestly and truly, the same thing still happens today. Like, I feel like if a Black person goes to another country and like they know the language that, you know, they're assumed not to know, people are like, what? Like
I feel like it happens so often that most times it's like, say you're speaking a language, but you're speaking about me thinking that I don't know the language. And then it'll be a moment where the person notices, and then they'll either like let it slide and respond back in English, knowing like, oh, I understand what you're saying, or like, I'm not this person, or they'll speak back in the same language. And I'm like, that's just a great moment. I wish I could speak languages like that, just totally make people's jaws drop.
Yes.
I think one thing I would have been interested to know is for a Black person living in Japan, or even was like, whether it be you're a tourist teaching, you live there, what their thoughts were based off of their current experience in navigating Japan was to like watching Yasuke, because I think there's some pieces there when it comes to, you know, what you're mentioning about the folks being surprised about you knowing the language, or even there was the soldier dude who, you know, spoilers. Actually, I don't even say that part. But like, there's a soldier there in particular who like shows a lot of shade at him, despite the fact that Oda has like had such a favoring to Yasuke because of his accomplishments. And so I was wondering like how much of like that sort of prejudice still exists at the time. I'm sure it's there and it's evident, but someone who's actually living it in Japan currently, how they would sort of see how Yasuke is navigating the world and how that relates.
May I ask a question, Adrian? You don't have to answer if you don't want to, but you've been to Japan, huh?
Yeah.
What was your experience?
You know, there's definitely a lot of a lot of folks are sort of like taken back or like at awe. Like, one of my favorite stories to tell about my spy time in Japan was this time I was in a train. I was like in transition from one place to another, and I was like sitting down the train, just minding my business, trying to figure out where to go, not getting lost. And there are these two like little schoolgirls, would have been like grade 7, grade 8 or something. They're talking to each other, and then eventually one of them looks outside, like we're in a train, so they're looking outside, but talking to their friend passively. And then her friend's like on her phone, and then she looks at me, looks down, looks at me. Then she's just like,
oh my God.
Holds it. And I look up, I'm like, oh, you know, that's cute, that's cute. I look up again, like, that's kind of weird. And then the stare stays for a good, like, you know, those uncomfortable stares, this keeps going. So it went on for a bit, and eventually I saw her friend was like, talking Ray-Tay-Tay, looking out the window, and then looked at her friend, looked at where she was looking, looked at her friend again, and nudged her. And it was a really cute moment, but also it kind of showed when it comes to like how, despite it's like when was it? Maybe 2028 when I was there. There's still this sense of like, well, I don't know if it's like wonder, leerings, a spectacle of some sort. I don't know what it is exactly. Maybe it's just curiosity. But yeah, the eyes are there, and it's like, what is behind the eyes? What do you say? This is a matter of like, oh man, this is a curious foreigner, or is like something else there? I wasn't able to dissect that too much, but
yeah. I mean, I was curious just because I feel like we're talking about Yasuke's experience, and obviously that was a different time, but even still, like, curious what your experience was. You know what? Like, just like, I don't know, like, I guess like the opening episode too. I think it was the first couple episodes where just like everybody in the town was just like, oh yeah, the black boatsman. Oh yeah, the black guy. Like, and that was just normal. So I was like, are we just doing this? Is just what we're doing?
You mean using the term black?
Not just that, I feel like that was the only thing. Like that's just what, like that was it. They didn't like, there was nobody talk to him really, but they would just be like the black guy. Like I don't know, I just thought it was weird. Like I thought it was weird.
Well, I mean, he kept to himself, so that's how he was known. Just like, yeah, the black boatsman.
Yeah, I know, but they wouldn't use his name. Like I know they didn't know.
They probably didn't know his name.
But like, you think that little boy didn't run around being like, "This is his name," or "This is who I hang out with"? Like, I feel like his name,
they call him Yasan. Where did the name Yasan come from? If he was given the name Yasuke.
So, but like even that, like they're not gonna call him Yasan. They're just gonna call him the Black Boatsman. Like that's just. I just thought that was weird. Like.
I mean, to be fair, I think a lot of cultures to this day still use terms like that. Because I know in a lot of Latinx communities, they use like the term black. Like you would call like a child like negrita or something. So it's like a black girl or moreno.
Like it's not. I just think it's weird. Like I'm sure even if they didn't know his name as like Yasuke, like I feel like they must have like heard the name Yasan or something, but they're just all of them, every single person in that, even the bar he went to all the time, just calls him the Black Boatsman. Like that's just it. I thought it was weird. I don't know.
Like I definitely get what you're saying, Divi. I feel like not at the time. I think for me, I was able to turn that part of my brain off because it's like he's the only black person there.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
It's just easier. And every time they're looking for somebody, hey, like, where's that black guy? Like, oh, that guy. Yeah. Who knows how many Yasuke's are there? But either way, definitely felt a bit weird. So I definitely get you there. I think highlight for me, like some of the two things that really stood out for me. I love the music. I love the production. That's the one thing I rave about. From the intro song with Thundercat, called Black Gold, and I thought that I always look forward to hearing that. And just Thundercat in general, the production that Flying Lotus has, he did a wonderful job because it's just such a unique sort of mix and blend of having like that sort of hip hop feel to like anime, and I think that's something that like a lot of folks. I don't want to say a lot of black folks. Let me speak for mine. I really appreciate like seeing like anime music videos with like hip hop tracks and like the hard beats. I always felt like there was like a really great synergy there that hasn't really been explored. But then the whole aesthetic of the show really reminded me of like one of my favorite animes growing up was Samurai Champloo. Samurai Champloo, I think it came out maybe like 2000. I want to say 2008, between mid 2000s, 2010. Follows like two samurai and this girl just going about adventures. And it was cool because it had the productions of this person called Nujabes, who, rest in peace. A lot of folks talk about him. And his beats were in the background while there's all this fighting happening and stuff. And it was just such a cool blend at the time that I saw a lot of it sort of carried over and sort of lived on as that Yasuke being like the successor to it. So I thought that was real cool. And I thought the animation, I feel like a lot of folks are a little mixed on how they felt about the animation, but I enjoyed it. I thought like a lot of the high action pieces as well were real cool. I love the sort of the blend of feudal Japan mixed with like this magic mixed with robots, even though I think it's like a lot for many and I understand it, but for me I just felt like I vibed with it. I thought it was real cool. So I think a lot of those pieces I thought were really cool to sort of take in. And I like the sort of feel and aesthetic that they had with the show in general. Yeah, so those are like some of my like high pieces when it comes to the anime.
I like the animation too. I think it was more so like the colors for me. Like I loved like all the bright colors they use. I really like that. But I don't watch anime enough to be like, I don't know like what is good animation versus like what is bad. But I liked it. So
Bad animation would be when you look at it, you can't stand it.
fair enough. Okay.
I compare it to when you have a comic book and like the cover looks so nice and you're excited to read it, but you open it up and the art is just trash. You're like, I can't read this. Like the story might be good, but the art is not doing it for me.
Like another piece that I like, and I want to shout out a buddy of mine goes by the Instagram handle Terrell the Chosen One, and he was talking about how this anime had like a lot of like spiritual connections there that I thought were really cool. Like the whole journey that I'm forgetting the little girl's name, but the little girl was going through in order to unlock her powers, even though some inconsistencies on those powers. We'll talk about that later. But her being able to a whole like sort of like dive in for her to understand to like unlocking her powers and being able to understand that she like harbors a lot of power, but she also has to let go and embrace it too. And also like other entities sort of feeding off her power as well. I thought that whole sort of narrative piece that they had there was kind of cool. And I thought I resonated with it quite a bit. So I think I wanted to shout out just sort of like the way how they made that connection, or that spiritual connection with her and her journey in the show as well. Saki.
Yeah.
Oh, Shalina's our real one. Go Shalina.
You know what I really, really liked? The way they did the flashbacks. I really like how like it was like black and white and then it turned into color. I thought that was really, really well done. I don't it was a good viewing experience. I liked it. I like that they did it like that.
And that's the thing. I thought that some of my highlights were sort of being able to have like pauses in the narrative, and it didn't feel too intrusive, but gave enough context to move forward. And I thought that was some of my highlights too, just being able to see his interactions and relationships in those flashbacks. And it's a shame that we didn't get more of that. It sort of stopped after like the second episode, but yeah, I really like the flashbacks too.
Yeah, okay, I agree. Because you're right. I think it did stop in the second episode, and I was like, I liked having those in the episode. I was looking forward to more. Yeah.
Like that's the thing for me. The first two episodes were the best episodes because like after that, my memory of the show kind of dwindles because for me the plot was just basic, just normal. It's what you expect. Nothing special.
Fair.
The thing that makes the show special is that he's a black samurai in feudal Japan. But other than that, it's like, meh.
Yeah, you know what? I kind of agree with you because okay, the first two episodes, like I feel like it's like very him centered with the flashbacks and things like that, and I liked how they did like the jumping back and forth. But then the later episodes, I was like, is he just her sidekick? Like, obviously, like they focus on him, but at the same time, I was like, the story is like driven by the girl. Like I know he's going on his own journey, but like I don't, yeah. So I don't know. I felt very meh about that.
Answer your phone.
I'm trying to turn it off.
It's okay. Okay.
Oh, I'm gonna mute myself for one moment. Let me just want to do this.
Okay.
I can remove you. Hold
No,
on, let me
don't.
remove him. He's gone.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I had the same thought. Okay, I'll read it out loud better. I had the same thought too, Divi. The show became about Saki and not Yasuke. Yeah, I was kind of this is why I really liked the first two episodes because I think it focused on him a lot. And I think they could have like I understand he also went on like kind of an internal journey and like re-becoming a samurai or like doing samurai things. But I think they could have highlighted that more. Whereas instead, I kind of feel like it was just driven by Saki's journey, which like didn't make sense to me since Yasuke is the title character.
Exactly. Like I feel like they're just tapping in because we all know that Black people and anime is a thing. Like Black people and anime, it's a thing. So I think they're just tapping in on us to like draw us in, like, oh, Black Samurai, blah blah. But then they made the story about this little Saki.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think especially considering the folks who are behind the production of it or behind like who made it, like they're legit conscious Black folks, or at least I know the main writer, like LaShawn Thomas. Has like done stuff like this before, but I do think that I want to hope that this sort of story or narrative just acts as like an opportunity for us to get to know Yasuke a bit, and then it will branch off to be more Yasuke centered. Like I love the fact that spoilers, you haven't seen it, you should have seen it. But like by the ending of it, like he sort of parted ways with this village and is going about his own thing. It acts as like a clean cut to the show potentially if it's going to be the last one, but I think it also leaves it open for him letting go of his past, or maybe there's opening up for him to explore himself a bit more moving forward. But I definitely agree that it became a very, very Saki centered, and that's why I signed up for the show. I don't care about that little girl one bit.
But that was my next question. Is there going to be a next season, or was this just a limited one season?
I don't think they made any announcements for it. I want to hope that there's going to be another season. And I say this is going to be a point I brought up later on, but I think I'll introduce it now because one of my biggest comparisons with Yasuke, a Yasuke that was done better was an anime called Afro Samurai that came out in like 2008. So there's a lot of similarities and contrasts between those two that show where Yasuke fell off, while also shows the opportunity for Yasuke to improve. So for those who don't know, Afro Samurai was a story, or the show centers around this man who has this thing called like the number 2 headband. What the case is in the world, you have the number 1 headband where you're like the top dog, badass samurai. You're number 1. Number 2 is the only person who could fight the number 1 in order to retain that title. So everyone else, free game, you're trying to kill number 2 so you can be number 1. So everyone's after this dude. So the story revolves around Afro sort of like figuring out how to kill number 1 because number 1 killed his father when he was younger. And he's just striving to figure that out. But also you're learning more about him as the show continues, how the show progresses. You hear about his trauma, and he's very similar to Yasuke in he doesn't have like a lot of dialogue. He doesn't say a lot necessarily. But the one thing that works well in that anime is Afro had a interesting like side partner at the time. Saki, you aren't that interesting. And his name was Ninja. And what you find out is how is like their connection and how Ninja is almost a reflection of some of the things that are left unsaid by Afro. And there's like a really great synergy between the two, which wasn't present with Saki. Saki was kind of boring. So there was that. And I thought that when it comes to like the pacing of the story, that show had 5 episodes. Yasuke had 6. Once again, a lot of similarities with the limited frame, but we were just able to have a lot of great action moments and a lot of great storytelling, diving into Afro and having it Afro centered throughout. And I think that was the biggest advantage that show had, where it was specifically centered around this guy, his journey, and how his past relates to what he's doing in his destination. Strongly recommended. So that's how Afro did it well in the first season. The cool part was in season 2, which turned into a movie called Afro Samurai Resurrection. It brought up a lot of the past pieces that they brought up in the first season that they couldn't touch on, and they went ham with it in the second time around. So I think I see hope in Yasuke in how Afro Samurai and Afro Samurai Resurrection played off of each other. And so I want to hope that they built the foundation in this one so they can have a fully fleshed out story with Yasuke a bit more in season 2. Maybe this is just like the groundwork for a bigger story.
Kind of like season 1 was like his reawakening, and then hopefully season 2 it goes in deep. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I hope so. Because I feel like he's an interesting character, and this girl has lived for 2 seconds. Nothing's happened. This is the first thing in her life, okay? So
2 seconds.
I mean, how old is she? Like 9? And her big character trait is that she trips over twigs all the time.
Oh my gosh.
So okay.
I thought the little boy was gonna have a bigger part.
Me too.
Because I was interested in the little boy.
No.
Yeah, I thought that the little boy was his sister, was his brother, her brother.
I thought that too initially, yeah. But now they live together. So there we go. I don't know. You know what I was actually really sad about? I don't know if sad is the right word. But when he cut his hair, I don't know, I liked his hair before he cut it and trimmed his beard. I thought he looked good. I was kind of sad that he it's fine.
Mm-hmm. Divi's oh, I'll call you Zaddy.
No, I genuinely
Zaddy
thought
vibes.
the long hair, I thought it would look good, but then he tied it up and took his beard off. But I don't know, maybe that's samurai things. I don't know, but I'm sad about that.
Nope. Never mind. Let me stop.
Just say it. It's fine.
I was just gonna say Divvy likes her men looking rough. That's all I was gonna say.
That's in normal life it's not true, but maybe in anime life it's true. I don't know. Anyways.
Anika with the faces.
Why are you making those faces?
She wants some bushier man.
That's weird because I feel like you know now. Okay, this is not the time. This is not what we're doing.
I ran out of water. I can't drink that.
All right, so we can transition over to talk about. We talked about some of the highlights. And we alluded to some of the gaps. Are there any other pieces that folks thought could have been improved with the show?
Well, Divvy and I know that Adrian has a problem because he's a hater of Lakeith.
I'm very open. I'm not hiding anything, everybody. I thought Lakeith Stanfield was very monotone. Here's the thing. I get what he was going, and I love Lakeith Stanfield. Let's not get it twisted. I love Atlanta. I love Sorry to Bother You. I love what Lakeith does. I don't like when they recruit popular actors to be themselves as characters, because you can't help but see the actor there, and it was distracting. I'm sorry, Kalita. So the whole time, here's the thing: the whole time, it's like he was just playing on one beat for the character the entire time. And maybe that was the writing. Maybe that was just the opportunities that Yasuke had to really express himself over time. Because I thought that the last episode, I was like, okay, was a bit more range, and I could vibe with it a little bit. But everything prior to it was just too stoic and too monotone throughout for me to really care. Everyone else in that show, it was a little corny and a little cheesy at times, but everyone else had more range than him, So that's what bothered me. But if you listen to the Japanese, if my folks who love the subs, that Japanese voice actor who did that voice, I don't know if man's is black or not, but he had range. I liked it. I enjoyed it a lot more. So, Lakeith, kudos. I love that you're a part of the movement. But man, and here's the thing, Lakeith. When have you seen Lakeith extend outside? Let's say Lakeith is here on a regular. When have you seen him a bit more. Maybe in Get Out. But even then, man had the little tear and the smile. Like, he didn't say nothing. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think Lakeith is just very in one zone a lot. And I think when it comes to something that's like is expressive and really dependent on the voice as an animation, you need a bit more. Think about like your favorite like voice actors, man. Like, they got range. Think about your homegirl Anika.
Summer.
Same wavelength. Yes, you see, like range. There's range there. Even if you think of Phil Lamar, who does Jon Stewart in like Justice League. I wouldn't say he's super stoic, but you can see that he is more like regulated, but he has moments. He has depth in his voice, you know? So that's why Lakeith, man, I wasn't a big fan.
You know what's funny? Like, because you had mentioned that, and then I was watching it, I was like, and then afterwards I was like kind of reflecting on it, and I was like, I was calm during, and a lot of big things happened during the season, but I was calm during the season because his voice is so monotone. Like, everything is just like he was fighting people and things were happening and there were glowing things everywhere, but I was just calm. And usually I get scared or like I get shocked easily. But
Exactly. So that's the type of guy you want in your life. Someone who can stay calm.
Okay, no, but like not in this anime. Like, like I understand what you're saying, Adrian, because I think like the atmosphere of the show and his voice just didn't match because he was just like,
yeah. I feel like people can make the argument that he's a samurai. Samurais are like, so you can attempt to make that argument. You can attempt it, but I'm pretty sure in that attempt I can highlight examples of people who've done voice acting for samurai who've done similar. Afro Samurai, where there was at least a bit of range. Like, if you see him, if he's in a situation where he's upset, he still stays calm, but you could hear it sound different, and that's the power of like a good voice actor. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's the fact that he's just not a strong voice actor that I don't like, and it's just noticeable.
Yeah, I feel like that's a valid critique. Like, it's not to say that. Yeah, I get you. Don't worry.
All the Lakeith stands are gonna come after me, coming in my DMs, trying to get my head. So.
Yeah, Dippy and Shalina, they're both, Shalina, because she gasped.
You know what I like really
slide in his DMs and beat him up, Shalina.
Oh my god. Wow, okay. You know what I like thought was a really good line? Like when that like priest guy, he was a priest, right?
Yeah.
And that priest guy and like his 4 like people, like when they when they brought Yasuke like in front of the crowd and they were like, he's the one who killed, I forget that woman's name, but whatever, they're like accusing him for killing the woman, whatever. And then one of the people in the crowd were like, I knew we shouldn't have trusted the foreigner. And then somebody was like, but you're gonna trust this foreigner, talking about the priest. I thought that was a really good line. I kind of wish like we kind of like delved into that, or like the show like went in that, like talked, like explored that a bit, because like it's true, you guys are gonna trust this like white missionary man over this black guy. There are reasons for this. I thought that was a really good scene.
Exactly, and it brings it back to how we had said about the original background of the actual Yasuke, where he was in servitude to an Italian missionary.
Mm-hmm.
So like these people believed his person.
Those are valid points about the voice acting. I think he was just a depressed character. His past haunting him. Yeah, see? He was haunted by his past. He's not wrong. That's true. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was a good line. I kind of wish they kind of explored that a bit more, but I guess killing that missionary is enough. So,
Shalina, I hear you. For folks who are listening, we have a very active participant in our live stream. I hear you, but also there are ways that you could act and portray depression other than being very like monotone, or you know what I mean? Like you can act that. You can flesh that out. But I'm gonna stop my Lakeith hate. I'm gonna stop it. That's a solid point.
In general, we do like Lakeith, so just so everyone knows.
Adrian is a hater of us monotone, not us. Adrian's a hater of monotone people.
Which, like in real life, I get that. No, Shalina, oh my
Keep
god,
talking,
love it.
Shalina.
Yes, please. I legitimately love it so
We love the interaction.
much.
It brings joy to our lives. And why am I using this like a microphone?
Yeah, let's just like girl invested in a mic. So go on.
No, I mean, is there anything else that you guys feel was important or?
There's more I could talk about of like areas of improvement for the show.
Sure.
I thought that there were a lot of 4 or 6 episodes. I feel like a part of me wants to like regulate my expectations, but I thought a lot of the pacing of the show felt rushed. Like there are certain pieces. What was it? There was one episode in particular that I think it was between episode 3 and episode 4, or 4 and 5, for example, where him and Saki got to the place with his old, like, I don't know what colleague, I'll call him a colleague, to train her in her magic. And then Yasuke was like, okay, I'm gonna leave. And then he goes. I was like, oh, okay, there's gonna be a little bit of thing of like something's happening back there. He's gonna come back. Cool, predictable. The next episode ends with him just there. And then war is starting. I was like, what happened? I had to check. Did I miss something or an end credit scene or something like that? It was just too sudden.
No, me too. I was like, did I skip an episode or something?
Yeah.
No, I actually, like, when that happened, I think I had to go back and be like, did I miss something, or did it actually just start like that? And it just started like that.
Yeah. So it was that, and then the one character piece. I think one thing that I think with like short shows is that you capitalize on your character development to have build interest if you have a simple story. I don't mind simple stories or simple like hero's journey paths if you have interesting characters. The one thing that kind of caught me off guard was like that troop of like mercenaries who were there at the beginning trying to kill him, but then eventually they like joined up together. Saki, her mom, who got killed by them, was like, yo, I know some people who can help us out. The people who just killed my mom. Give me a moment. They come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And cool. I some of the characters like the robot. They're kind of interesting. Cool. So what happens throughout? All of them eventually end up getting bodied, except for the black guy. And these guys have been working together. And at the end, I was like, oh, he's gonna feel sad or some way about the loss of all his colleagues. Got my money, and that was it. That was the end of his story. I was like, oh, okay. And I think there was just some pieces like that. It just either felt rushed or not a lot of intention was placed into them. That was just bothered me. So, yeah, that was it. It was like, so some of the character development pieces and the pacing was a little off for me.
You know what? Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Also, where that scene with the robot and that one girl and the girl dies and he's like, friend? Okay. No, honestly, I was like, this is like a stronger friendship, the strongest friendship in the show right now. Because like Saki and Yasuke, like, do I really?
We're not friends.
Exactly. Like, so I was like, I was pretty sad when that robot was sad. I felt that was really emotional. But you're right. Like, I feel like she just calls up these people who like aided in her mom's death. And I don't understand. Like, and then they're helping them. And yeah, that was rushed. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, well, a lot of those birthdays, like, I think you really lose something. I thought that a lot of those birthdays had a lot of potential. Like that robot and that act of him like blowing himself up, even though we don't even see what happens, like he did it for nothing.
Yeah.
But, like that was a good like emotional pull piece there. Then there was homegirl who turns into a bear and her like, going and stepping in front of the door. I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. And she was like vibing with Yasuke. I was like, I'm just gonna ship those two together. I was like, okay, yeah. she's a vibe. And then the way that she got bodied was rough. I expected a bit more of like he's gone. I am upset.
Yeah.
No one grieved for her. No one but me. Like, I was just a little upset.
all the money's for him now. So
yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So I think it was. Is there any other pieces? I think my problem was that like those pieces that sort of like highlighted are like the biggest pieces of like the show what I would have expected for it. So yeah, that is like the pacing, the story, the character development. Yeah.
You know what I did think was really cool? You know when like what's that guy's name? His like the one that like brought him in and like helped him, shaped him into a samurai. What's his name?
Oda something Mioba.
Okay, so
Oda.
him.
You say Oda Neil Long?
I said Oda Neil something.
Okay.
Okay, so him. So like you know that scene where he's like a ghost. Like I know it's not a ghost, but like you know initially how it's like he thinks it's a ghost, and then you know whatever this whole scene ensues. I thought that was really interesting, and I was like, oh, it's just a trick. Like this is not actual spiritual, like the spirit world or whatever. I kind of wish that it did go in that direction because I thought it was cool. Because I thought it was like a cool way for him to, I don't know, confront his past.
Yeah, I like that. And I think you're touching on something there too, because like the relationship between him and or Yasuke and what was that Nobunaga, Oda Nobunaga. Though it's so interesting because he kind of acted as like a I don't know, father figure is like a bit too much, but he acted as like a great supporter through him, and then him having to kill him at that, like that whole piece there. I think there was a lot to dive into, and I think the way the show ended, I don't know if it ended with him resolving that piece necessarily. I think there's still something else there to dive into. I think by the ending, I saw more of like a closing with him and that woman that he killed. Even though that in itself was kind of rushed, because like he saw what was it? Was it her son at the end? Brother. Yeah, I saw brother's like, oh, like you're praying. It's like, oh yeah, here's her sword. Like that was it. So I would have loved a bit more when it came to seeing him process and move forward from that. But
yeah, I agree.
Any other thoughts? Or thoughts from folks watching right now?
Greg, about it.
Shalina, Greg, how you feeling? Let us know.
Yeah, while we're waiting for more, I think all in all, if I were to say I have like a closing thought with the show, I thought that I think it's a little show that has room to be like celebrated. I think that it was cool that they were able to have a story inspired by like a real person and be able to flesh it out and throw attention to it the way that they have. And I think when I'm seeing with LaShawn Thomas, who's done this and also done another anime called Cannon Busters that's on Netflix as well. I think each one of those shows, I won't know if I would rate them highly, but I saw that I rate them with promise. I think the idea that you have like representation through these stories too. I think there's like a huge stuck upness that folks can have about the. Okay, good to see it right here. Yeah, Greg, I agree with that with Cannon Busters. I think there's like a stuck upness that folks can have about media since there's so many options that folks have that it needs to be like highly rated in order to be worth watched or worth watching.
Yeah.
But the fact that we could take the space and say, okay, you know what, we see some of the lowlights here, but we can still like appreciate it for what it is. You know,
the show should have been called Saki.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just it. Like, I think the show does show like promise. Like, it could go deeper with a lot of things. I mean, hopefully the Saki narrative just ends here, and then we can just, focus on the actual title character. But yeah.
Like seeing the representation in this makes me want to try like watching other shows like that one my friend was telling me about, Onyx Equinox, which is based on the Aztec gods. And my friend watched it and he said it seems to be quite like accurate in the portrayal of back then. So I think it's worth a watch.
Yeah. Greg says I say something about Yasuke and Cannon Buster is that they had good music. Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I was giving praise about that earlier, but yeah, Cannon Busters as well. The intro and outro to that show, phenomenal. I loved it. Yeah, so I guess I can't think of anything else other than I don't know if you folks have like other closing thoughts. I think the one thing I wished for the show, I was really excited for it, and I wanted more substance to dive into, and I feel like I'm just sort of left hungry wanting more. But yeah, and I think also I feel like I'm giving Yasuke a lot of slack. Like I say I don't like Lakeith and all that, just because like as an anime fan, I've seen a lot better done, and I see a lot of the potential that it had, but I also don't want to shoot down the potential for like other. I want more of this. I want more of these stories coming out, so we get some gems too. So I'm gonna remain hopeful.
Because in order for us to get things like this, we have to support these, even if we don't 100% like them. Because if people aren't supporting these, they're not going to continue to make diversified shows, TV. Movies.
Yeah. So let's keep our fingers crossed.
Did you guys know that before Chadwick Boseman died, he was actually supposed to play in a live action Yasuke?
Oh, I did hear that actually. Yeah,
heard that as well. Yeah.
So sad.
Yeah. Well, I hope they find the space to maybe portray that live action and not Stanfield for it. But,
they'll make it Lakeith.
No.
Oh God. Okay, well, I mean, anybody have any other thoughts? Oh, Greg said.
Greg, thank you. That was another piece I didn't even touch on. The fact Saki's whole thing was just very inconsistent through the show. I didn't get where she was coming from. That show started, and I was like, oh, she's just big, just getting these powers, and she's figuring it out. But then she has moments where she's like, no, killing the priest out of nowhere with her powers, like she knew what she was doing. I was like, what is happening? Do you know what you're doing or not? That bothered me. Maybe it's because I had initially thought one thing, and then she just did the complete opposite. But yeah, broken power gauge for Saki for sure.
Really quick side note, again, I do not watch anime at all ever, but that like big bad monster at the end, I forget
the daimyo or something.
Yeah. She reminded me of Digimon because when they look kind of like that. So that's where I'm at with anime.
Okay, that was a cool comparison. I'll give you that, Divvy. I'll give you that.
Okay. Okay. Any last thoughts?
My last thought is when it comes to another anime comes out. It all depends on like the writers that are there and all that. But it's just seeing the potential with anime that Netflix has done. Looking at Castlevania, folks have seen Castlevania. That show has been brilliantly produced, brilliant writing, brilliant voice acting. I just need to see something similar. And even then, they have like a really strong black character there too, with a lot of depth. So all I want, just take your time with the writing, y'all. Take your time with writing, make intentional stories, make well fleshed out characters. Can't wait, but I'm really happy to see where things are right now.
Yeah. And hey, I feel like there's only up from here. Yeah, so that's good. Yeah.
Facts.
Okay. Anika, do you have any last thoughts?
No, when you said up, it just reminded me of the Cardi B song. So that's what's going through my head right now.
Okay, on that note, well, we hope everyone, enjoyed our conversation. Let us know what you think about the Netflix original series Yasuke. Tell us all your thoughts. And thanks for joining us, everybody.
If you want to follow us, check us out at the Melanin Marbles on Instagram. You can also find us on our podcasts places. We out there on Apple Podcasts. We are there on Spotify. You can find us on Anika, give me the Ollie. What was the other place?
Got Spotify, Google, Radio Public, here on YouTube.
All of them. We taking over.
TikTok. We on TikTok.
Yes. Find us on TikTok as well. So
Okay.
take care. Peace, everybody.
Oh, hold on. Okay.